Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lincoln to Local. I'm Rachel Havens, and today I've got Caylie Holman here with me from our Public Policy Division. And Caylie, we're moving into the second half of our legislative session, ending here in a few months. And I know this week we saw some movement at the Capitol on several things, and one of those is the school lunch program. Will you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so there was an idea to move the school nutrition program where it's currently housed at the Department of Education to the Department of Agriculture. The thought process behind that is that the Department of Education should be solely focused on teaching students, whereas the Department of Agriculture is solely focused on feeding Oklahomans and feeding the world. So the hope was to move that program and house it instead at the Department of Agriculture. And everything would still run pretty much the same at the school level, but hoping to allow some more opportunities for people at the Department of Ag to work with that nutrition program to set up school systems with local producers, get some more local food, vegetables, fruit, things like that into the local school system. It passed the Senate earlier on in the process. This week it was heard in the House, a House committee. It did not pass that. So next week, as you said, is the deadline. So we possibly could see that being reheard next week. If not, I would probably look for it to be heard in the coming years. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years for legislation to get passed, but that's something that we did see happen this week.
That's interesting. I know we also have a proposed new virtual meat inspection program. Can you tell our Farm Bureau members a little bit about that and what that means?
Yes. So currently, as probably many of our members will be aware, there is a certified meat inspector on site at a processing facility. What this would do is direct the Department of Agriculture to request a waiver from the USDA to request to do a pilot program where a certified inspector might be sitting elsewhere, somewhere in Oklahoma City, for say, and they would be remotely monitoring a continuously live stream video of the carcass moving through the process and inspecting it virtually. So there's no hard and fast rules set up. It would really direct the department to create rules if the USDA gave a waiver to Oklahoma to start a pilot program such as this. The authors think that we're moving in a very internet-friendly, technology enhancive direction in many sectors, and so this is just a way that they're looking to hopefully maybe revamp some what we're currently do it in a different way, maybe make it a little bit easier for some processors. You would maybe not have to have quite as many inspectors to be able to inspect multiple facilities. There's obviously a concern about not having somebody on site, making sure that they can smell the carcass, that the temperatures are correct, things like that. So there's some food safety concerns for sure that were mentioned by several legislators this week when that bill was heard in committee. It did not fail. It didn't pass. It was just laid over. So they're going to continue working on it, hopefully address some questions, and it should be back up next week in the House Ag Committee.
Well, that's definitely an interesting idea, and it'll be interesting to see how it progresses throughout the rest of session.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So I know we have talked about medical marijuana a lot throughout this 2022 session. We've seen a variety of bills on the subject. One of those is the tiered licensing structure that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, this is definitely an interesting one. One of the concerns we've heard from some medical marijuana producers is that as we try to regulate the industry against bad actors, is ensuring that we don't do too many regulations or price out legitimate producers out of the industry. So this would set up a tiered fee system when you're applying with your application for a grower license. And so it's broken out into 3 different categories. You have your indoor, your outdoor, and your greenhouse categories, and there's 8 different tiers within each of those. So for, if you have, it's based off of square footage. So if you're growing marijuana and you have about 1,600 square foot or less, there's just a flat fee of about $2,500 for your application fee. Then it goes over that. It sets out different groups in the 7 remaining tiers for square footage, and it just goes to a per square footage fee. So it's would be based on exactly how many square feet you're reporting to the department, and that's how your fee would be based for your application process. And obviously, it's going to be more expensive the more acreage that you have there.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. I also know that we have seen maybe some changes to the ag sales tax exemption language. Will you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So last year, there was a bill that was ran and passed throughout the legislature and signed by the governor to add timber producers into the ag sales tax exemption category. This year, they're running a bill making sure that some manufacturers are included in that, just some cleanup language, and also making sure that marijuana growers are explicitly prohibited from being included into that category.
Gotcha. Well, we know how important that is to our agricultural producers, so I'm glad they're staying on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Caylie, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Lincoln to Local.